what are you supposed to say, like just to yourself, when you're faced with so much uncertainty, especially when that uncertainty is connected to fear about things that are way beyond your control? You know, there are those times when you feel like a grain of sand on the beach. And sometimes that can be awe inspiring. You know, it can be like, look at this gigantic universe and this world that we're in, and I'm just this little part of it, and isn't that amazing? And then other times it's like, look at this gigantic universe and world that we're in, and I'm just a little part of it. It's hard. And I just think of like, how are you supposed to literally move at times? You know, I think of the times that I have come the closest to not wanting to live. And that's the way that I phrased it in therapy. And it's true. I was never really, I never really wanted to kill myself as a person who has struggled with depression, which is another, I try not to say struggled, but sometimes it is a struggle. It was never an active thought of like, I want to die. It was always, when it got really bad, just, I just don't want to be. Not even I don't want to live, I don't want to be. And that is such a hard thing to overcome, you know? Just to, when every breath feels like a victory, what do you tell yourself? And I don't know if there is really anything that you can tell yourself. I think it's, in my experience, it was just continuing to breathe and just taking another step and just taking another day. Maybe it was my biggest feat of mindfulness in a way, because I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always in the past. I'm always somewhere, you know, this thing in between my ears doesn't ever stop. And maybe there's a way to spin that, of that was depression's great gift to me, is how to just be here with a feeling, even if the feeling is awful, even if the feeling is a humming numbness. And I just think about the world right now and how many people are probably feeling that. I've been working on this writing for a while about the idea of like layers, right? And in the center is us, and our little core. We're just our own little self, just in the center. We control so much of what happens here. Not everything, but a lot. And then you like go outward, and there's like our identity. You know, there's the things that make us who we are, and the filter that we see the outer world in. And that colors things, naturally. And then through that, we begin to deal with other people. There's our inner circle. There's the people that we are closest to, the people that know us. And for some people, that's very small, a very small circle. And for some people, it's family. And for other people, it's not family. And the thing about that is, when you go into that inner circle, your level of control decreases drastically. With every person in that circle, there's an exponential lift in the potential for chaos that you can't control. And then you go out into the outer circle, the people that are in your life, but that are not like not your people, right? Necessarily. And that's where I think a lot of people's like birth families are. And then you get into the complicated layer of community, which can be so many different things, right? It can be, you know, what sports team you like. It can be your church. It can be your school. And like if you're like think of kids in school, it can be their class, then their grade, then the school itself. Those are all separate parts of that community layer, right? And that's where just things go off the scales. But I'm thinking about that tonight because I'm thinking about how many people are just so angry. Clearly, so angry. And there's all of like in the writing I'm working on, how to phrase the idea of like the exchange of energy between our own circles and our own layers and all that stuff. And I'm almost there, I think. Um, but I wonder how much of it is we look out through those identity layers and we see things that we can't control. And we just don't know what to do with that. We don't know what to do with that feeling. We don't like not being in control. I don't like not being in control. I won't speak for you, but I think a lot of people don't like not being in control in some way, shape, or form, you know? And I think anger, I took the one acting class I took in high school. I remember the teacher saying, anger is the easiest emotion. And I think that we do like the easy route. And that's not necessarily bad. I think honestly, I think it's prudent and evolutionary, right? The easiest thing. That's how you live. Easy. But I don't know. I think all the time about how we are beings. I don't know if I lifted this from somewhere or not, but we're trying to run modern software on hardware that hasn't caught up. We're trying to run this very advanced software on this hardware that was designed, you know, thousands of years ago, if not millions. Like I think of planes. Jet lag is because our bodies are not designed to travel that far, right? We evolutionarily we haven't caught up to some of this stuff yet. And I just think everybody like there's anger is such an easy and natural response. Unfortunately, the way that things are manipulated, it makes people in power make people angry at other people. They find an easy scapegoat. And I just think about if we could all stick in our core and figure out why are we angry? And I know that's hard. I've spent literally a decade in therapy on and off trying to figure that out. Why am I so angry? Why do I feel the anger? What is the anger about? But I think we have too much of an outward focus and I don't think we're taking care of ourselves. I don't think we're taking care of ourselves, and if you can't take care of you have to fix your own oxygen mask before you fix somebody else's. I don't think we're pulling on our own oxygen masks enough, y'all. I don't. I saw something the other day. It was somewhere on Instagram about the idea of there's that saying about life is just an endless stream of dishes and laundry, and how it's like the drudgery of it. And somebody responded, it's like, yes, but if you shift it, it was something to the effect of if you shift that to it's a constant opportunity to care for yourself and care for others. blew my mind because my apartment has historically, I'm a cluttered person, and it's gotten out of control, and I'm slowly working my way back and getting it to a state that I deserve to live in. That's the thing. I think unconsciously I was allowing the place to get to a point of mess because I didn't think I deserved to live in cleanliness for some reason. And I think that's what is happening with a lot of people. They don't feel like they deserve compassion. They don't feel like they deserve love. And I'm reading my way through Bell Hooks All About Love, and there's a bit where she talks about how love is a bunch of components. It's care, affection. I don't remember. I should go grab the book, but I'm not going to right now because I just want to keep this recording going. But the idea is that you need all of the components, and I feel like we don't a lot of us don't feel like we deserve those components. So we don't think that anybody else does. And I don't think most of this is conscious, but it's what's happening. So, as the days roll on, I am going to try to give myself some grace, which is a phrase I end up on a lot when I get down, is like, just try to give yourself the grace. And I'm going to try to think of, how do I care for myself so that I can care for others? And I think it's slightly different than that idea of like parenting your inner child, because I'm working through some issues with that idea, because I think that's pressure, right? Be the perfect parent that you needed as a child. Ooh. But I think that also, like, we have such a diminished language and around love, and that's part of the Bell Hooks book, is that it's a tricky thing in our culture to talk about. But if we could just focus on loving ourselves more, and what are we missing inside, rather than looking out at the world and being like, who can I blame? Something is missing in here. Who can I blame? And that's not to say that we're to blame. That's to say, where are you? You know, I've been teaching for a long time, and there's this idea that I always try to enforce in myself and when I talk to other teachers, of like, it's not, you don't need to know everything about your student's experience, but you need to acknowledge that they have one. Because a kid who didn't eat dinner last night because they couldn't afford it is going to learn differently than a kid who did eat dinner and is well fed and has never missed a meal. And that's just a fact. We can, once you stay with that fact, right? The reasons behind the fact, the purpose of the fact, like what you do with the fact, don't even think about that. Just acknowledge the fact. And that's what we need to do with ourselves, I think. I think we need to look inward, stay in that core, and think, what is missing? If anything, maybe nothing's missing. I envy you if that's the case. So that's just what's on my mind this evening. So I'll close with the prophet RuPaul. Which, this is a phrase that I sometimes have trouble with too. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? I'm going to amend it. If you don't think that you deserve love, how are you going to think that anybody else does? Different. Subtly, but different. Yeah. Love you like you.